we are getting started this year with an amazing speaker. We have Eric Curts today, sharing all about the AI Toolbox. So we are so glad that you are here. Thank you all for joining us. You are the lucky ones because you have grabbed a seat. We had way more people registered than we had capacity on our Zoom. So we're so glad that you're here. You're joining us. We're going to get started in just a moment. In the meantime, I see some familiar faces that I recognize from last year, which is super exciting. Welcome. It's nice to see you again. And if you're new, welcome. We're excited to see you as well. If you wouldn't mind, please go ahead. And some people are already dropping in the chat your name, maybe your role, where you're tuning in from. We're so excited. We're going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, we are here today with Eric Curts, and if we are going to be talking all about the AI Toolbox. So as our school year kicks off, we're super excited to arm you with a toolbox full of tools that can support you as an educator. And we were lucky enough to check in with Eric just before the session started, and he shared there's way more tools than we could ever have time to talk about. So today is going to be tool-packed. And as you're coming in, we just would like to take a moment to introduce our Teacher Innovation Network planning team. So my name is Stephanie, and I work at the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. And I'm joined by my good friends from all across the state of California who represent different county offices of education. So we have Sarah from Shasta COE. Hey, Sarah. We have Krista, who's going to hop in just a moment, joining us from Santa Clara COE. And we also have Anu, who's helping us from Santa Clara COE, yay, and Tani from Sacramento COE. And we are the brains behind the Teacher Innovation Network, and we're so excited that you're here today to join us for our first session of this school year. We would like to know a little bit more about where you're from. So we do actually have a map that we started when we started our Teacher Innovation Network, and we would like to share it with you. And if you haven't already, we invite you to go ahead and add your name and your location to our map. You'll see that we've got some great representation from the state of California, but we also have representation from all across the United States, and we're excited that we also have representation from outside the United States. So we'd love, if you haven't already, there's a link in the chat. So please go ahead and add your name and your location to our map so that we can get a quick glance of who is in our network. We'd also like to talk to you a little bit about the agenda for today, just to let you know what to expect. If you have joined us for an EdTech Playground before, you'll know that we like to start with a little welcome, and then we like to save as much time as possible for our featured speaker. And at the end, we wrap up with a quick closing. And today we have an optional information session. So if you've joined our EdTech Playgrounds before, you might be familiar with our sign-in and stipend process. Unfortunately, there is not a stipend available for California educators today for this session, but we do have a cohort that may be starting. So we'll be sharing a little bit more about that at the end. So we have no sign-in today. You do not need to sign in for the EdTech Playground, and there is not a stipend for California educators, but the learning, trust me, will be worth your time. So we're super excited to turn it over to Eric Curts, and I'm going to take just a moment to introduce Eric if you're not familiar with him already. He has over 30 years of experience, and in those 30 years includes 2 previous EdTech Playgrounds, right, Eric?
That's right. This is my third.
Yeah. Eric works as an EdTech specialist in Ohio and provides trainings to organizations across the country. He's a Google certified trainer and innovator, sharing all his EdTech resources on his amazing website, Control Alt Achieve. I would be lost without his calendar template. It guides me every single year. And so super excited to welcome Eric and turn the floor over to Eric.
Well, thank you so much. And that is wild. That calendar template, I get emails from people every year. Hey, where's the new template for next year? So you're in good company. You never know what's going to be the hit. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen here with you guys. Give me just a sec to pull this up. All right, there we go. So hopefully you guys are all seeing the AI toolbox popping up there. If not, let me know, but hopefully that's popping up there for everybody. The first thing I want to do before anything else, just a little bit of housekeeping here. I want to make sure that everybody can get to the resource document because that's going to be so key, not just for our time together now, but going forward so that you can keep learning about all of this. And so I'm going to put up a little bit of a larger version of it here so you can see it a little bit better. I did drop that link in the chat. I'm sure some of the folks will do so as well in case anybody needs that. But bit.ly/Curts-AI tools. That link will get you to a Google document, and that document has everything we're going to be pulling from. We will not go through everything in the document. There's way too much content in there. We will run out of time before we run out of tools, but that's what we're going to pull from. And so I would encourage you to, if you can at the moment, pull it up. If not, just take note of the link and then, have it for later because it's not going anywhere. This link is not just for this session. It's a permanent link that I use over and over and over and over again. You're absolutely free to bookmark it, to add it to your drive. Hey, you can make a copy of the document if you want as well. The only negative is if you make a copy, I keep making changes to the original. So if you do make a copy, periodically click back to the original to see what new things have been added. As a blanket statement, everything I create, I share under a Creative Commons license. You are allowed to copy, distribute, adapt, use these things any way you want. All I ask is that you leave a link back to me from where it came from, but you do not need to ask my permission to use these resources. So that document should look like this. Looks like we got a lot of people jumping in there, so that's fantastic. A couple of quick little things about the document. At the very top is all of my contact info. I would love to keep learning with you guys after today, so there's a link to my Control Alt Achieve blog. Please do check that out. I share loads and loads of resources there. There's training videos, there's webinars, there's links, there's resources, blog posts, so many great things. But my emails here, my socials, my YouTube channel, my weekly newsletter, I'd encourage you to sign up for that. That's an easy way to stay in the loop that way you don't have to keep remembering to go back to the website. The website comes to you when I send my email newsletter out each week, or join the Facebook group or the email discussion group. The point is, find what works for you, and I would love to stay connected with you. Additionally, today, I want to make sure I can hear from you as well. So we've got a couple of ways that you can communicate. Certainly, you can use the chat. Absolutely. Feel free to use the chat, drop things in there. I do, though, always include also a sharing document. That's just something that I always include in my sessions. So if you feel more comfortable dropping something in there, you can do that. That is a Google document that's editable. You can drop questions, comments, resources in there. And, if you see a question that you got an answer to, you can reply to it in there. I will do the same. I may have to add some things in after the session is over, but that's another way that you can ask questions throughout the session. And that's it. Everything else after that, it's just all the resources. So on page 2, you've got the slideshow. If you want to access the slideshow, you've got my main AI resource page where I have so many more AI resources on that page. Please do check that out. You'll see all of my documents, my tutorial videos, my blog posts, my specific videos on the tools we're looking at. Just all that stuff's there. And then the rest of it, like I said, yeah, it's just it's just tools and tools and tools, about 15 pages worth of tools. As I said, we're not going to get to everything. So please do note, for almost every tool, I've included a blog post where I've explained how the tool works. And for many of them, I've included a demo video. And so you can watch those demo videos, and that will show you how that tool works if we don't get to it tonight, or if you need a review later. So I'm just giving you a heads up. I decided tonight I was going to err on the side of more tools than less. So I'm going to move really fast through these, but I don't want you to feel like, you can't then get more details later. All of these resources are here for you to learn more after the fact. All right. Well, I hope that gave everybody plenty of time to get settled in, to get comfortable, to get ready to go here. So let's see. I think we had a fantastic introduction already, so thank you for that. I can probably skip through that. So yes, again, hi, Eric. I'm an educator in Northeast Ohio, so happy to be with you. Always got to give a shout out to my grandkids. I'm a proud grandpa as well, and all my hobbies and interests and things like that. But I think we did good. I think we are ready to dive on into this. So here's the plan. The plan is I'm going to go through each of these different categories and pick a couple examples. I'm not going to do every tool. I'll pick one or two tools, maybe three, but probably one or two from each category, and try to demonstrate it as quickly as I can and show you how it works. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A doc, whatever works best for you. Feel free to interrupt me throughout this. If there's something I missed that we should address, I'm happy to take questions as we go. All right. Let's get on into it. So to start off with, we are going to, let's get past all of this stuff. We're going to get right into them. We're going to start right off with AI chatbots. That is our beginning here. So if you're following along in the agenda, where we're kicking off here is on page 3 with AI chatbots. And then we're going to pretty much just go straight down from there. So the first category we're going to look at is probably the best known. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this category. I want to show you things you haven't seen, but I think it's really important that we lay the groundwork here. And so the AI chatbots, this is a category that includes things like ChatGPT, things like Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude. So these are the tools that kind of started the whole thing. This is the advent of generative AI, where basically they've taken these AI tools and they've fed them every book ever written, every web page you can browse. They've given it all the information they can give it. And then we can now just talk to these chatbots with just regular prompts and just asking it questions, and they can generate content for us. So let's take a quick look at these. Again, I think we probably are more comfortable with these than a lot of the other tools, but let's at least take a quick look. So let's pull up ChatGPT, and I'm going to pull up Gemini, and I'm going to pull up Claude. So I'm going to use those three real quick. And again, we could spend an entire session on nothing but exploring these tools. But no, we're just going to hit them real quick. So for those of you that, if this is new to you, if you're like, honestly, Eric, this AI stuff is brand new. I've never even used ChatGPT. If that's the case, well, tonight's the night. Tonight's the night to use it. So I would say out of all of these, if you're just going to start playing with this for the very first time, I'd say start with ChatGPT. And the reason I say that is you don't have to sign up for an account to use it. You're allowed to use ChatGPT anonymously. If you just go to chatgpt.com, you don't even have to sign in or sign up. You can just start chatting with it. And I would encourage you, try that out here tonight. Now, I do encourage you to sign up for an account because then you get extra features and stuff for it. But that's a really good one to start with if you are not familiar with this at all. And heads up, I'll say this as a blanket statement. Everything I'm sharing tonight is free. These are all free tools, but most of them have a paid version. But there are no tools here that are just a paid tool. So everything is something that you absolutely can use for free, but there may be extra features if you pay. So let's take a quick look at things like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT. And let me just throw in a couple of really, really quick requests here. Let's say I go to Claude and I say, for my example, I'm going to pretend I'm like a middle school science teacher and I'm teaching about how caterpillars turn into butterflies. So maybe I just want a little help. So I could come here and say, hey, can you create a 45-minute lesson plan for me about how, a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, make this for a middle school science class. And boom, I could just drop that on in there. And it's going to generate this for me. And so it is now creating this lesson plan here for me. It's writing this lesson plan out. It's got all the awesome things in there. We've got the objectives, the materials, the outline, the direct instruction, all of that getting generated. As a contrast, let's jump over to Gemini. I could say something like, hey, can you do a choice board for me? Give me 10 activities for a choice board to help students choose how they want to learn about how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. And so now it's generating all these wonderful ideas that I could pull from. Or for another example, let's jump over to ChatGPT and let's say I'm doing the same thing, caterpillars and butterflies. I'm like, hey, I need a rubric. I need my students to write a report about how this happens. Give me a rubric with a 1 to 4 point scale that I could use for middle school information report on this. And so boom, there it goes. It is now starting to generate a rubric. Whoops, it's in the middle of it here. I might have to restart that one. Sorry about that. We had a little hiccup there. Let me restart that. Give it a chance to start over again. There it is. Okay, we'll let it go. There it goes. Now it's cranking through there. And so now it is generating a rubric that I could, copy and use. So I don't think any of that is new to a lot of folks. Probably what I'm showing you right there, you're like, yep, Eric, I'm aware of that, but I didn't want to leave anybody behind. If you've never used these tools before, please go to ChatGPT and just start asking it questions. Start, putting in requests. It doesn't have to be educational. Ask it to, give you suggestions for an upcoming vacation or something. Just use it to start seeing how these tools work. But that's really all it is. It's just you put in a prompt, you ask it a question, you can ask follow-ups, and it generates this content. Before we leave these behind, though, I did want to mention really quick that there are a few things that make each of these a little bit different than each other. And so we're not going to spend much time on it, but I just wanted to emphasize real quick. So for example, why would you pick ChatGPT over Gemini, over Claude, or versus one versus another? So one thing I will say real quick about ChatGPT, it does have a text-to-speech feature. So you can click on the little read aloud button. It will read things aloud. That can be really nice, especially if you're using this in class, demonstrating things to students. But another neat thing it can do is it has the paperclip option. Now, if you're not signed in, you won't see the paperclip option. You have to be signed in, but it's part of the free version. I can upload files to it and it can process files. So as an example, let's say I wanted it to use, a rubric that I have created to help grade something. So I could come in here and I could say something like this. I could say, let's use an uploaded rubric to grade a middle school informational report about how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. So let's say I've got the student's report here. I'll go ahead and paste that in. And basically, there we go. So I'm saying, hey, use the rubric that's uploaded, grade this middle school report, and give some helpful feedback on how they can improve their writing. And so there's the student's report. I've got some, spelling errors and things in there. Well, what I can do is I can just click on the little attach and I can go to my computer and I've got a folder here of some grading things, including a middle school informational report rubric. And so I could upload this rubric. And so now I'm giving it a PDF of the rubric. And after I've done that, I can just submit that and it's going to read the rubric. It's going to read the student's report and it's going to give us a grade. And so now it's going through and it's applying that rubric. Looks like a pretty decent job. A couple of things they could use some improvements on. And then now we're getting that nice, here are the suggestions for improvement. So if you're looking to upload files, that's something that's really nice about ChatGPT. What makes Gemini a little bit different? Is there anything that might be a good shout out for that? Well, sure thing. So for example, let's say I asked it to explain in detail how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It's going to give me a really detailed explanation here. Well, a really cool thing about Gemini is at the very bottom of its response is this button, the double check response button. If you give a click on this Google icon at the bottom, what it does is Google verifies, fact checks what the AI has generated. Now, this is so valuable because AIs can make mistakes. And by doing this, what it does is it color codes. It's going to go in here and it's going to color code these, and it's going to turn things green if it can find reputable websites that support the information, or turn things orange if it can't find such information, or if it finds contradictory information. Well, in this case, most everything's turning green. That's great. I'm glad to see that. Not only does it tell me that these things have been fact checked, but I can click on the little down arrow and see where it got fact checked. So now I could come here and give a click, and it will take me out to that website. I can read that website to then get verification on that information. I love this. This is such a great way to help encourage, students and ourselves to be critical thinkers, to not just believe it because it's on the internet. Even with AI, so important that we can fact check things. Gemini also does have text to speech, so that's a nice little feature. And Gemini also includes image generation for free. That is something that's a little bit different from some of the others. Usually that's a part of the paid version of some of the other tools. So like ChatGPT, that's part of the paid version. And Gemini, I can say, hey, create a picture of a colorful butterfly flying over a field of wild flowers with the sun shining in the sky, and it's going to generate that image for me. I can then, of course, download that image and use it any way that I would like. It may take a little bit of time, so it may swing back around. Oh, nope, it looks like, there it is. It's done. Awesome. There we go. And there's my butterfly there. And of course, I can download a full-size version of that, which will be much bigger if I want to do that. Lastly, Claude. Why would you use Claude? Well, Claude does a lot of cool things too. It does include, let me go ahead and zoom out just a bit. Sometimes I get a little too zoomed into Claude there. There we go. It does include the ability to add content. So that's nice. You can do the paperclip thing. Something I like about Claude is it's really good if you want to do coding, because it can do the coding in a little window for you. So if I go into Claude and say, hey, make a snake game for me, and I'm telling it to do it so it can play in the artifact window. That's something Claude has that the other tools don't. When I do this, it's going to program, it's going to code a snake game, but then it's going to pop up this little window over on the side called the artifact window. And it's going to render the game in there so I can actually try it out. I can actually play it and see, does it work? And if not, I can ask follow-ups like, hey, can you fix this? Can we add this? And there it is here. It looks like I died already. Let me come over here and I will play again. Oh, there we go. All right, and there it is. So if I eat the apple or whatever that is, there you go. I'm getting longer, and I am playing it right there inside of the artifact window. So pretty good stuff there. And of course, if I hit a wall or whatever, the game ends. So this is fantastic. I do an entire training session just on coding with AI. Claude is one of my go-tos for that. If you guys want to try a little bit more with this, heads up in the agenda. If you scroll down to the section on Claude, I do have a playable snake game that you can play, which is a spelling snake game where you have to spell words. You have to eat the letters in the right order to spell words. And that is that was done entirely with Claude as well. So there you go. I know we hit those really quick, but I did want to talk a little bit about, chatbots, large language models. Those are the big ones: ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude. There's others: Pi, Mistral, Meta, Perplexity. There's a lot of great ones out there, but that's our first category. Everything else is pretty much built on top of these anyway, so that's really the good place to begin. All right, well, let's keep on moving because, again, like I said, we're going to run out of time before we run out of tools. So I'm going to keep moving, and then we will take some pauses here and there and see if there's any critical questions that have come up. All right, next up, prompt tools. So what if you're like, Eric, that was pretty cool. I really liked what you did with ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude. That's awesome. I didn't know I could, make a lesson plan, make a rubric, do that. But what if, even though that looks really cool to you, you feel a little intimidated? Like, I don't know what to type in. I'm not sure, what to put in to get those things out. Thankfully, there are prompt tools. So these are AI tools like Magic School and many, many others. There's things like EduAid, Twee, Almanac, Conmigo, Phobis. There's loads of these. I'm going to look at Magic School real quick as a beginning point here. So this is a website that basically does the prompting for you. So if I head over to Magic School and log on in, what you're going to see is a big collection of pre-made prompts basically. So for example, if I want to create a level plan, or if I want to re-level text, if I want to generate or make DOK level questions, I can do. I'm not sure like what to type in. This is the go-between to help me. So I can come here to Magic School and say, yeah, type. So if I click on the lesson plan here, it's going to ask me questions. Say, okay, well, you tell me, what's the grade level for this? What are you trying to cover? What's the topic? Any other criteria? Is there certain standards that you're aligning to? And then once you do that, Magic School is going to make a prompt. It's going to take your information, put it into a prompt, and Magic School is literally going to go over to ChatGPT. It's going to submit the prompt, get the result back, and bring that back to you. So it's just a go-between to make things easier. Now, to be quick here, I'm just going to click on the exemplar that they've got. And in this example, it looks like it's going to be, give it a moment there to pull up our exemplar. There you go. Grade 6 food webs is the topic. Okay. And there we go. Here is the lesson plan that got created. Now, Magic School's not making the lesson plan. Magic School's making the prompt. It's going over to ChatGPT and bringing the lesson plan back, but it's helping you with that process. I love that because it really can help somebody who's new to this and like, I'm a little intimidated. I don't know where to begin. This is a great place to start. They've got so many of these created, and you can fill in a few key details and it will generate the prompt and get you your result back. Now, I feel like I'm selling Magic School a little short. It does more than just that. It's not just a prompt tool. It really does do other things besides that. But I think that's kind of its, premier feature. And so that's why I was going to emphasize that. A lot of tools I'm showing you tonight could probably fit in 5 different categories, but so that's a really great one. In that same thing, I will give a quick mention also to Conmigo. And the reason I'm going to do this is there's one thing that makes it a little different than the others. So if I head over to Conmigo, this is from Khan Academy, and they've got a whole teacher tools section, which does, as you can expect, similar prompt things: create a newsletter, create a letter of recommendation, create a rubric, all those kind of things. So yeah, you say, well, Eric, it looks like the same thing. What's the difference? Here's the cool thing about this. It is free, completely free. Like there's not even a paid version option. It's just free. Now, the student version, that is currently something that does cost money. There's a student version of Conmigo. The teacher version, it's just free. That's part of Khan Academy's, goal is to make these tools available for free to folks. So I would say 99% of every tool I've got in this list has a paid version. This one doesn't. So if you're looking for a tool that will let you create all kinds of awesome things with that additional help where it walks you through the process, Conmigo is a no-brainer, definitely. And if nothing else, click the link and sign up and say, I'm a teacher. So you get that free account and can use it anytime you want. All right, let's keep going. So we have seen AI tools, AI chatbots for teachers to use. We've seen prompt tools to help meet you halfway. Let's go another step. What about student chatbots? Okay, now what do I mean by this? I'm not talking about sending our students over to ChatGPT or to Gemini. Many times that wouldn't be allowable anyway. They typically have an age requirement of 13 and above, and many schools might not have this approved anyway, even for students older than that. So what about how could a student use an AI chatbot? Well, thankfully, there are tools like School AI. Now, it's different than Magic School, a very similar name, but School AI. And there's others. This is not the only one. Mizu is a great example of this as well. And there's others that do this kind of thing. But what these are, this is a website where I can go and I sign in as a teacher. Not my students. I go in, I create an account, I sign in, and I choose a pre-made chatbot, or I build one of my own just by describing what I want, nothing too complicated. And then what I do is I give a link to my students. That chatbot gets a unique link. I give that to my students. They click the link and they get to have a conversation with the chatbot. But they don't sign in, they don't sign up, they don't give an email address. That's what keeps it COPPA, FERPA, GDPR compliant, because the students are not signing up or signing in. It stays anonymized for their use, but it records everything for you. So as the teacher, you can see everything the students type, everything the AI responds, and you can learn all about what your students are saying in their chat sessions. So I'm going to show you real quick how the tool works. If you are anxious to try it out, keep on scrolling down. We just did prompt tools. Scroll down to the next page, actually page 6, sorry. Scroll down to page 6. And under School AI, you will see I've included about a dozen, 10 or so pre-made chatbots you can try out. They're all highlighted in green. You can click these links and you will go in as a student. You can just start chatting with it. While I'm explaining this stuff, have at it. So I've got 4 different tutors. So here's Chatbot Tutors to tutor you in science, math, English, or social studies. I've got a chat with Abraham Lincoln if you want to talk to AI Abraham Lincoln. I've got a chat about Charlotte's Web. I've got a chatbot that'll work you through the writing process and on down the line. Click on any of these and you can just put in your name and start chatting with it. Now, while you're doing that, let me just show you real quick how this tool works. So if I pop over to School AI, and I'll go ahead and sign on in here. What they call these chatbots, they call them spaces. So students are joining a space. In the spaces dropdown, I can either discover or create my own spaces. If I go to discover, then I can just pick from the literal thousands of chatbots that they have set up here. And they've got so many different ones I can pick from. So it could be something like chatting with a historical figure where I'm like, okay, I want my students to talk to Lincoln or, to Amelia Earhart, or you get the idea. As I scroll down, they've got loads and loads and loads of these pre-created where the AI is going to pretend to be that historical figure and the students can interview them. Or I can go to the section on chatting with somebody from a different career and learning about careers, or chatting about a book that the students are reading. If I can't find something in there that is exactly the match I want, I can go down to customize and I can put in my own historical figure, my own book, my own career, whatever I want to put in there, and it will build a custom chatbot for me. I can also come up here and pick any of the tutors. They got loads of tutors that we can turn on for the students to have a chatbot experience with the tutor. There's also bell ringers, there's exit tickets, there's a whole section that is all standards aligned. Pick your standard, drill into your grade level, your subject, your strand, and they've got pre-made chatbots for every single standard out there as well. It's just amazing. The point is, when I drill into here and find something, like if I was going to do, let's say we were doing a historical figure chatbot, and if I were to come in here and say, oh yeah, let's have a conversation, with King Tut. So if I were to pull that up, basically all I have to do is hit the launch button. And when I do, that gives me the link. That gives me the link I'm going to give to my students. Heads up though, I would encourage you to preview it first. Before you ever send out a chatbot to your students, hit start preview and just take it for a spin yourself. See what it says, type in some answers, just take it for a spin. If you think it needs adjustment, almost every one of these has a more options section where you can go in and give it custom instructions, tell it about your students to tweak it to be appropriate for your class. Once it's all good, you just hit the launch button. That gives you then the option to send the link. You can push it out to Classroom, or you can come here and grab a QR code or a link, copy the link, give the link to your students, and they're good to go. Now, hopefully, some of you have been trying these out. I hope you've been clicking on these and taking them for a spin. But for example, if I were to click on like the Charlotte's Web example, if I were to come here and give a click on that as a student, what's going to happen is it's going to pop up and say, what's your name? I'll put in my name. And when I join, that's it. At this point, as a student, I am now talking to the AI. What did you think about the friendship between Wilbur and Charlotte? And so now I'm going to have a conversation here. I could say something like, it was very sweet. And then, now, okay, we're going to get a response back. And, oh, I'm glad you found it sweet. How do you think Charlotte's actions, like spinning words in her web, showed her friendship and loyalty to Wilbur? And we could just have a conversation as we're discussing this book, or getting tutored in a topic, or exploring a career, or interviewing somebody from history, whatever the case would be. Now, the really neat thing is that as the teacher, you can see all of this. So if I go to my list of current sessions, I can see all of the sessions that I'm running here, including something like the Charlotte's Web session. I can give a click on it, and I can see all of my students that are in there and the conversations that they're having. And I can click on any student and I can bring up that conversation. Now, I haven't done a whole lot yet. I just put in a few things, but if I click on my name, I can see that entire conversation there. I've had teachers tell me they have learned so much about their students that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have known. Maybe a quiet student who doesn't say a whole lot in class, being able to have them talk to the AI, they do open up and they do share things. And so you can find out, what do your students know? What don't they know? What do they need support with? What are their interests? And here's the thing, this is not meant, none of these tools are meant to replace you as an educator. It's my typical statement is this: AI is not here to do your job. It's here to help you do your job better. And that's what this is all about. You're still making personal connections with your students, but now what about when you can't be there? What about evenings? What about weekends? What about times you can't be there? They could chat with the AI tutor to give them help, or they could, connect with one of these AI chatbots during study hall or during maybe a class lesson where you're just wanting each student to get individualized feedback that is impossible for you as one teacher to provide everybody a personalized experience. And so this can help the students meet them where they're at while also informing you and being able to learn more about your students so you can help them even more. Awesome. So there's a whole bunch of tools like that I have grouped in the category of student chatbots. That's what I'm calling those. I think School AI is a great example. It's not the only one. There's other ones out there, but it's a great one. All right. Let me pause for just a moment. We've gone through 3 categories. Is there anything, let me know, our hosts here tonight, if there is anything that has popped up that you see as a critical question or comment that I should address. I would be happy to do so as I take just a quick moment. I do see one thing popped up in my Q&A doc. I will address that. Somebody said, can School AI be used in other languages? Oh, thank you so much for asking that. Tell you what, I wonder if I can pull back that here. Let me pull one of these back up real quick. I'll jump into, it doesn't really matter. I can jump into any of these. I'll jump into the Abraham Lincoln one as an example. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. If I jump into this, my bad. I should have showed you this, and I really do apologize that I didn't. Couple of quick things. When you're having a conversation here, there's some really nice accessibility and accommodation and support tools. One is the speak button, which will read it aloud. One is the microphone button where you can speak to it. The other is the gear in the top corner. Click that, and then click view all and look at all languages. Absolutely. I can say, you know what? We need to have this conversation in, a different language. We need to go to, Spanish or whatever the case might be. And if I do that, what that will do now is the entire conversation will now be set in Spanish, So, if I were to come in and, type in hola here, now since I've chosen Spanish, the entire conversation has switched over to Spanish. So short answer is, for every one of these tools, pretty much, yeah, the answer is yes. AI has no problem jumping between languages. And so School AI has it just built in a little friendly button here, but most all of these tools, yes, they will support multiple languages. So thanks so much. There was a question, are there chatbots for all the famous books? No, it's not that. It's that they've given you a whole bunch to kind of get you started, but you can just do your own. So if you don't see a book that is the one you're looking for, if you come down here and say, you know what, I want to do a chat about a book. Sure, I can pop in here and there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of books. But what about, I can't find the one I'm looking for? No worries. Just scroll down below that to the customize section, pick Book Explorer, just type in your own book, type in whatever book you want the students to talk about and build your own chatbot. So good stuff. All right. There was a question about privacy. And so, that's why I mentioned in a case like this, the students are not signing up for accounts. They are not giving email addresses. Everything they type in, when it goes out to the AI, it gets anonymized. So it's not connected to the student. When the information comes back, it gets reattached to their session. Everything that is typed, none of it is being used by the AI for training in the future. They have that turned off, so it cannot save. The AI cannot save these conversations, nor can the AI use them for future training. The only thing being saved is for you as the teacher to be able to view these things. All right. My host tonight, is there anything that you see that I should address before we move on?
You're doing an amazing job of tracking. I had a little post-it note and I just got to cross all the questions off. So no,
Oh my gosh,
everything's
that's
fine.
great. Okay. Well, hey, I'm sure I'm missing some things. So please, people who are attending, if you have questions, continue to drop them in the chat or drop them in our Q&A doc. Either way is fine. Let's keep on going. All right. Next up, assessment tools. So this would be a category of tools that can basically create assessments for you. QuestionWell is a good example of this. So let me use that as the example. Please realize it's not the only one. There's loads of other. Conquer is amazing. A lot of tools have things like this built in. Quizzes and Edpuzzle Informative. They've built AI right into them. I'm just going to use QuestionWell because it's a quick one that I think does a really nice job of demonstrating this. So I'm going to go ahead and sign on in here to QuestionWell. And basically what I do is I say, okay, what do I want? I want, 5 questions, 10 questions. I'll just do 5 questions, multiple choice on a particular topic. Let's say I'm teaching the Boston Tea Party and I want this in English and I want it for my 8th grade US history class. Excellent. So I can say, I want a quiz, 5 questions on this topic, and I could just hit generate, boom, it's going to make the quiz. Or I can go further. I can say I want the quiz based on specific information. I can say, you know what? I've got a blurb from our article we're reading or our textbook or a YouTube video we're watching or a website that we're pulling from. Base the quiz on that. In this case, I do have a blurb. So let me grab my Boston Tea Party blurb and drop that in there. Let's say this is what I want it based on. And that's it. I can now go ahead and click generate questions and give it a little bit of time. It does take it a little bit of time, but what it's going to do is it's going to write those questions for me. Now you may be saying, Eric, okay, but couldn't I just go to ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude and say, hey, make me some multiple choice questions about the Boston Tea Party on this text? Absolutely. Without a doubt, I could go straight to ChatGPT and do that. Technically, that's what QuestionWell's doing in the background. It is going to ChatGPT and doing that. So why would I use this tool? Well, here's what I want to show you, what it adds on to the experience. So here it did the good job. It created questions. There's question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my questions. As always, please double check anything that AI generates. This is just a blanket statement for the entire evening. Always, always, always check it for accuracy, add your own personality to it, think about your students, make adjustments. The AI can do a big chunk of the work. You still have your piece of the pie. You still have your responsibility as an educator to verify the information, that it's good content, to make sure it's appropriate for your students, that it expresses your viewpoints, your personality. So I'm not going to make any changes to this. I'm just going to take these questions, but I'm saying, please always be sure to do that. Don't just grab what it creates and say, oh, that's it, we're done. AI is there. Again, it's not here to do your job. It's here to help you do your job better. So, but let's say I looked at these and I'm like, hey, these are really good questions. I could hit select all, grab all of the questions. Here's where the magic comes in, the export button. I can now click export, and guess what? I can send it to Quizzes, Kahoot, Canvas, Schoology, Moodle, Gimkit, Bluekit, Quizlet, Google Forms. I can send it now to any of these things like, oh, Google Forms, boom, click there, ta-da. It's taking that quiz that the AI generated and it's building a Google form for me. I can click to open that up, give it a moment here to open that up. And let's see, should be popping up here pretty quick. It just takes it a moment to generate that. There it is. And there it is. So I didn't have to copy and paste and create that. It made it for me. Of course, I can go in and edit it still. And yes, it's already set up the answer key and all of that. But boom, what a time saver to have that. So that would be a great category that I would encourage you to explore as well. QuestionWell is a great example of that, but there's lots of great ones that I would call assessment tools. The next category I would call grading tools. So these are on the grading the content. And there's a bunch of great ones here. There's Snorkel. There's some I need to add, a co-grader. I've just been exploring them recently. I need to get them added into this list as well. So again, I'm not going to be able to go through all of these in, great detail, but let me show you a couple of quick ideas. So let's take Enlighten AI as an example. So this is basically a AI tool that helps you grade student work. Now, I call these guided grading tools, though, because you don't just turn it loose and say, hey, grade my assignment for me. You give it guidance. You give it a rubric, or you give it an exemplar, or in the case of Enlighten AI, this is so clever. I love how it works. You grade several essays as examples, and the AI learns from you. So basically, it makes a little mini version of you and how you grade. Okay, let me demonstrate this for you. So I'm going to go ahead and let me grab my, I'm going to pull over a different screen here just because I have a different account that I'm using Enlighten AI with. But let's say here's my Enlighten AI account, and you can sync with Google Classroom. You don't have to. You can just have the students submit their work through a regular link. So it doesn't have to use Classroom, but it can. And let's say I have this particular assignment where the students are writing an essay about the Stanford prison experiment. The question is whether people are inherently bad or not. So let's say that's the question they're writing about. Now I've got 5 pretend essays here. Not the best example. Normally I'd want to have like 125 to really show this off, but for the time, I've just got 5 to quickly show how this works. So basically what I do as the teacher is I pull in my students' essays. In this case, Classroom, they just got synced over. If not, the students can just submit them through a link. And then I pick a rubric. I go, okay, let's grab a rubric. So for this, I'm just going to use my claim evidence reasoning rubric. But my gosh, there are so many. There are just loads and loads and loads of pre-made rubrics. You can build your own from scratch. It's as sophisticated as you want. This one's not very sophisticated. It's just a claim evidence reasoning rubric. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. I'm going to go with that. It's just 5 points for claim evidence and reasoning. That's all it is. And that's it. So now I'm going to say, let's start grading. And here's where the cool stuff comes in. So what happens is it pulls up the student's essay, and then the AI suggests, how about this for a rubric score? How about this for some feedback? So it's figuring that out. So it's thinking 4, 4, 3, and it wrote up some feedback. Now, at this point, look at what it says at the bottom. AI is currently 0% trained. It doesn't know who I am. It doesn't know how I grade. This is just its suggestion. It's still a good suggestion, but it's not reflective necessarily of me. So what you do is for the first 3, 4, 5 students, you read the essay and you override what the AI suggested. So in this case, I don't know, maybe I look at this and say, you know what, this is pretty good, but I'd say I would be a little higher. I'd say that's a 5 and I'd say that's a 4. So maybe I make some adjustments. And for the first one, maybe I say, you know what, hey, good feedback here, but no. Let me put in my own feedback and pretend I just typed all this up. I just copied and pasted it. But let's say I type up all my feedback. Then I hit save and continue, and it moves on to the next student. But look what it says at the bottom. AI is 20% trained. It knows me better. And I just keep repeating this over and over and over again until the AI reaches 100% trained. At that point, the feedback it gives, it's going to start using verbiage that I use. It's going to use phrases I use. It's going to grade in a way that mimics me. And so that's the idea, is you can train it on a model of yourself and reuse that model over and over and over again. And it's going to be a teaching assistant, a TA. It's going to come alongside you and give you a second set of eyes. So I love tools like that. Those are really, really, really nice. In the grading category, I also have to give a shout out to Snorkel. Snorkel is one of the very few AI tools I have found anywhere that grades spoken answers. Not typed answers, but spoken answers. So let me go ahead and I'll pull up. Give me a second to grab my Snorkel page here. I'll pull that over. There we go. Hey, Snorkel, where are you at? Okay, hold on. Let me grab Snorkel. Here we go. There it is. So here's my Snorkel page. So basically, and if you guys want to try out Snorkel, I have shared my class in the agenda. You can go in as a student and you can try any of these examples. So if you scroll down to grading, so grading is like page 8, I guess. Yep, page 8. But it's actually down on page 9, all the way down on page 9. Under Snorkel, I'll highlight it in green so you guys can see it a little bit better. Here is my sample class. So if you want to go to page 9 and click on the Snorkel examples, you can go in as a student at any point and you can practice with all of these. But what is it? How does it work? What's the gist here? So basically, let me just grab a simple example. I'll do this one on building a rectangular frame. So let's say I'm a math teacher. Now, this isn't just a math thing. You can do this with any subject. It's not math specific, but this example just happens to be. So what you do is you go into Snorkel and you create the problem. So basically, it gives you a whiteboard. You can write on there and say, oh, we're making a frame and we know that its perimeter is 146 and we know the length is 29. What should the width be? So just a pretty straightforward perimeter problem. So you create the problem. And then you go down and you turn the AI option on and you say, what is your subject? Okay, this is a math class. Okay, what is the grade level? Oh, this is elementary. You tell the AI what the prompt is, and then you tell it what you're looking for in the answer. Be as specific as you want, but you tell it, here's what I'm looking for. And that's it. That allows you to set it up. Now, what happens is you give the students a link or they join your class and they simply hit the record button and they record themselves answering the question. So in this case, they record themselves solving a problem. So obviously I did some of these myself as I was testing it out, but basically the student goes in, they hit record and they record themselves solving the problem. Now, I'm not going to play this whole thing back here, but this is a 2-minute recording where I talk through step by step by step. And you can use the whiteboard. You don't have to, but the students can draw on the whiteboard. The AI not only hears their voice, but it can see what they're drawing on the whiteboard as well. And then basically the AI grades the students. It takes everything they say, it transcribes their speech into text. It takes everything they draw, it pulls all that together, and it grades them. So what it will give them is 2 grades. One is correct or incorrect. Did they get to the right answer? And secondly, how well did they explain themselves from a 0 to a 4? So what this means is, let's say we think of things like oral examinations, oral assessments. There's a lot of value to that. There's so much good that can come from a student taking their own words to explain something, especially when we have concerns about like cheating, like, oh, I don't know, did they really write this essay? Maybe they just copied and pasted it. We want to have students take the time to speak and explain things in their own words. But what's the problem? It's not practical. You don't have enough time. If I have 125 students and they each record a 2-minute video, that's 4 hours of video I would have to watch and listen to, right? That's just too much. So what happens here is Snorkel makes this possible because now all of the students can go in, hit record, and it will say, hey, Eric, these all got it correct. These ones got it incorrect. And now I can listen to the ones who had trouble and I can see why are they struggling? Or I could find the correct ones who did not have a good explanation. And I could see, well, they got it right, but they're not explaining it well. I can also go to the Insights tab and I can see what are the most common problems people are having. Phenomenal. The ability to take spoken answers and scale it, something that you just can't do very easily normally. So big shout out to Snorkel. Love that tool. All right. Let's hit our next category, and then I might take another pause before we hit our next group. Tutoring tools. Probably won't say much on tutoring tools. We've already seen a little bit of this. School AI has their built-in tutor bots. So let me at least just mention a couple here to give a shout out. Sorcerer. I love Sorcerer. This is a tutoring tool where basically, instead of you asking the AI questions, the AI asks you questions. What you do is you go in and you put in the topic you want to learn about or prove your understanding, and Sorcerer basically quizzes you. It says, okay, so tell me what you know about that. And as you answer questions, it keeps pushing and pushing and pushing you. Your job is to get your score to go from a 0 to 100 to show that you have full understanding of that topic. If you want to try out Sorcerer, scroll down a little further under tutoring, and you'll see a link. Here's my demo Sorcerer link. You can go try it out. out. You can type in any topic that you want to quiz yourself on and see how Sorcerer quizzes you on that. Other tutoring tools, CK12 Flexi. This is another one of the rare ones that is completely free. There's not many like this. There is no paid version. It really is just free. CK12 is an organization that is dedicated to providing free educational resources for schools. This is an AI chatbot that is designed to support math and science tutoring in middle school and high school. And so you can head over to CK12 and sign up for the Flexi tool, and students can use it to not get answers. These tools don't give you the answer. They walk you through the process of asking if you understand things, re-explaining things, helping you work through the content. Conmigo, we saw earlier, the teacher tools. This is the student version. As I said earlier, unfortunately, there's not a free version of the student side. The teacher side is free. The student isn't yet. But my gosh, it's a really good tool for walking students through tutoring and supporting them. All right. Let me see. We got differentiation here, presentation. We're getting close. Let me pause. Let me pause for a second. Let me take another quick peek into the sharing doc, and then if I miss anything, my hosts can share. I did see somebody said, "Is Question Well free or paid?" Question Well is both. Yes, I was using the free version. There is a paid version. The free version of Question Well I was using had limits such as how many questions I could have and the type of question. So I was limited to multiple choice questions, a maximum of 10 at a time. The paid version can do more questions and can do other types of questions, like open-ended type of questions as well. Somebody said, with the grading tools, can you add your own curriculum background for state, country context? For example, the Western Australian curriculum. So, good question. It's going to depend. I'm trying to think which ones would lend best to that. And off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think between, and it's probably a good answer out there. And I haven't tried that. So I'm sorry. With things like Enlighten AI, I know I can pick like the rubric and things like that, but can I specify my curriculum background? Not that I remember seeing, but again, I'm sorry if I'm speaking. It may just be something I haven't tried to do in those tools. It's a good question. I would say if that is a critical issue that is causing problems with some of these tools, first of all, contact the companies. Here's the cool thing, guys. These are really little companies. Every tool I've shown you here, they've got like a team of 5 people that are creating these tools. They want to hear your feedback. So let them know. I talk to a lot of these folks. They're really nice people who are really working hard to create amazing tools for educators and students. So let them know if there's something that you think this would be really helpful to add into that. I will say School AI would be one that I don't think I'm misspeaking here. I'm pretty sure you're allowed to upload additional content. So if I go into School AI and I go to create my own space, there we go, add files. So yes, so just remembered real quick. So yes, with something like School AI, you could build your own chatbot in there and you could upload your own files. So you could like upload your own curriculum to that and say, make sure you answer things based on this reference. So I do know, for example, School AI does allow you to upload things. Did I miss anything else here? Can students manipulate some of these quizzes using technology in ways you would like to make us aware of? So as far as student use, so that's a whole other question. I don't think we're probably going to get a whole lot into that in this session. My student use examples here are more like using a tool like School AI for a student to be able to interact with a student chatbot. If what you're asking is more, can students cheat? Can students use AI in a malicious way? Can they violate academic integrity, policies and things? The short answer is yes. Yes, students can use AI in a way that would be considered cheating. We're not going to cover that really here tonight, but I don't want to leave you just without any response. So let me say this. If you go to page 2 of my document, on page 2 of my document, I have the general resources In the general resources, check out this one I'm highlighting right now. I'll highlight it in yellow so it jumps out. I have a session called Artificial Intelligence Natural Misuse, Managing AI in the Classroom or something like that. And so this would take you to that document and a recorded video and a blog post where I do a much deeper dive into how do we manage potential misuse. I'll also copy that into our Q&A doc if somebody's looking in there, but I would point you to that for that. All right, so I'm going to move on unless if my hosts have something to add. Are there any other questions? If not,
Nope. Once again, you did
all
a
right.
great job. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Let's keep going. I got more. So many fun things to show you. Okay, next up, differentiation tools. So these would be things like Diffit, Goblin tools. There's others. Those are just two quick ones there. By differentiation tools, what I mean are tools that are often designed to maybe take some content and re-level it, put it at a different level for students, at a different reading level, provide support materials. So let's do a quick look at Diffit. I think they're definitely a great example of this kind of a tool. Certainly not the only one out there, but certainly a great example of it. So let me log on into my Diffit account here. And let's say that I am going to have it differentiate that Boston Tea Party blurb that we were looking at earlier. So what I can do is I can go to Diffit. I can say, okay, here's a topic that I want you to differentiate, or here's an article or a video, or here is a text excerpt, or here is a vocabulary list. There's all different things. I'm going to do the text excerpt. And I'm going to say, let me grab this Boston Tea Party blurb, and I'm going to copy and paste it in. So I could say, my students need to read this article about the Boston Tea Party, but I want to differentiate it for my students. So again, it can be a video, an article, whatever, in this case, a text blurb. What I'm going to do now is say, okay, let's change the reading level. Let's drop it down. Let's say maybe we want to put it down at like, a fifth grade reading level. And I could change the language. Like we've said with all these things, you can always pick other languages. Now, at this point, I'm going to hit generate resources. What it's doing is it's going to take that original text and re-level it, in this case, to a fifth grade reading level. Now, when it does that, here is the new version. Now you say, well, that's kind of short. It actually made it a lot shorter. Well, here's the thing. You can adjust that. You can click adjust length and say, you know what? Let's actually leave it the original length. Let's just change the level of the content, the text. So I could say, let's fix that. And so now it should be a little bit there. There we go. It's a little bit longer now. So it's closer to what it was originally, but at hopefully a fifth grade reading level. I can just hit the copy button to copy that and then use that text to supply that to my students. But it does more than just that. It also does a bullet point summary of the text. It also pulls out key vocabulary words that a student might struggle with. You can just copy that, paste that, give that to the students as a support. It also comes up with multiple choice questions and answers, short answer questions and answers, and open-ended prompts. And you can copy and use all of these. So the point behind these tools is to help easily provide differentiated content, support materials to help students as they're working through content. So a lot of great things in that category. Next up, presentation tools. So this would be things like Curipod or Gamma or Brisk. There's a whole bunch of them out there that do this sort of thing. I'll do a quick look at Curipod. These are tools that generate presentations like slideshows for you. So if I pop over to Curipod, I'll go ahead. I'm already signed in, I guess. Okay, there we go. You can easily create a lesson, and I will not take the time. I'll pull up one I've already created, but you could very easily come in here and say, I want to create a lesson. And you basically tell it, what the topic is, what's the content, what's the standards, the objectives, whatever the case might be. And you can say, do you want to make a full lesson, or do you want to do things like, a quick write? Do you want to do, test prep? Do you want to do some daily routines? It's got so many templates that they've created in here. And the AI will generate a slideshow for you that does whatever that particular topic is. Now, like I said, I've already created some ahead of time. So just to save time, I'm going to grab one of them that I did. I did one on quadrilaterals the other day I was playing around with. So basically I said, okay, I want a slideshow on quadrilaterals. And I gave it, the key thing of what grade level, whatever, and it built a slideshow. And so here's all the different slides. Now, heads up, it is a proprietary slideshow. So this is not a Google slideshow. It's not a PowerPoint. It is going to run through CuraPod. But why is that important? Here's why. Because guess what? It's not just building a slideshow, it's building an interactive slideshow. So what that means is when I go to launch this, when I say, oh, this looks great, I want to launch this, I'm going to run this particular slideshow, when I go to present it, the students will join the slideshow. They'll type in a code or they'll click a link. They will join the slideshow. So not only does the AI generate the slideshow, but then the students join and they get to interact with it. Some of the slides are just content, like content, just teaching what a quadrilateral is. But then there's going to be slides that are interactive. This is a word cloud slide. Name as many different quadrilaterals as you know. The students will type in all their answers and boop, it'll show up as a word cloud. Or here's a poll. What's the sum of the angles of a quadrilateral? They can vote and boop, it'll show their responses. More content. Here's a drawing slide. Hey, using only squares and rectangles, make a picture of anything you want. The students can draw on there. More content, an open-ended question. They even have AI graded questions where the AI can take their response and give them some feedback on what they did. So awesome tool. Love CuraPod. Really nice way to generate slideshows that are actually interactive slideshows. I'll show you a different slideshow example a little bit later, but that's a good example of what CuraPod can do. Next up, we're there. This is what I was going to show you next. I was just mentioning this. I have a category I'm calling multi-tools. And at the moment, I've only got one tool that I put in it. I guarantee you over time, this category will grow. And here's what I mean. There are tools that just don't fit. They do not fit one category. I've tried to put them somewhere, but then they just keep adding more features. I'm like, I don't know what to do with these tools. And this one is called Brisk. Brisk Teaching, technically, is the full name of it, Brisk Teaching. This is, in my opinion, the Swiss Army knife of AI tools for educators. I cannot say enough positive things about Brisk Teaching. Every time I think they've outdone themselves, they do it again and they create something else. So let me explain really quick the idea. Brisk Teaching is a little different than every tool we've seen so far in that it's not a website that you go to. It's a Chrome extension that you install. So if you want to check it out, scroll on down to the multi-tools section. We're pretty far down here. Let me get down to it. There it is. And you can go to the website, head on over to the Brisk Teaching website. But when you get there, what you're going to see is a link that says add Brisk to Chrome. You'll click that and that will take you to the Chrome Web Store and then you'll install it. I've got it installed. I just have it turned off. So let me turn it back on. You'll go to the Chrome Web Store. You'll click Add to Chrome and it will install the extension. Now, of course, you got to get permission from your tech folks. Everything tonight, I should say, of course, always check with your school policies, your tech people, all those kind of things. But here's the point. Once you've got Brisk installed, now, anytime you open up anything, you can use Brisk to interact with it. So let's say I have this article about how does a caterpillar turn into a butterfly? And let's say I want to use AI to interact with this article. It doesn't have to be an article. It can be a YouTube video. It can be a Google Doc. It can be a slideshow. It doesn't matter what it is, any content that you come across. Look in the bottom right corner of my screen. I've got a little teeny Brisk button down there. That's the Brisk icon. It's there because I installed the extension. So if I come here to this article about a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, I can click on Brisk and I can do all kinds of things. I can create content, give feedback, change level, make student activities. Let's do just a couple examples. Here's the point, folks. This checks off so many boxes. Like, this is why I can't put it in one category. So for example, it can create content. I can come here and say, you know what? I want to make a quiz based on this article. Well, there it is. It's an assessment tool. I can click on quiz. I can say, let's do a 6th grade multiple choice quiz with 5 questions based on this content and make it into a Google form. Click on the Brisk button, give it a moment, and now it's reading the article. And then it's going to create a Google form and it's going to start making the quiz. And so here we go. It's taking the article, it's making a metamorphosis quiz and There it is. It did it. It just built the quiz. Or I can go and say, you know what? I want a slideshow about this article. Click on Brisk, go to create. say I want to make a presentation with, 10 slides for grade 6, on this topic. Actually, we'll just do 5 slides just to save time. And I'll hit brisket and give it a moment. It's reading the slide, it's reading the article again. And now it's building a Google slideshow. And so now it's creating slides where each slide is going to cover the content. And so slide by slide by slide, it is making my Google slideshow. Now, of course, I can go in and edit this and make changes and adjust it later. But what a great way to get started. It's getting me this initial slideshow that I'm going to be able to build from the rest of the way. What else could I do? I could re-level an article. I could say, you know what, this is great, but it's a little bit, beyond what my students can handle at the moment. So I could come here to Brisk, and there's a change level button here. Now, I didn't show all the create things. There were other create things here, like creating a rubric, creating an exemplar, creating DOK leveled questions, creating a lesson plan. There's so much, but let's just say I come here and I pick change level. So now I can say, okay, let's change this level. It says it's a 10th grade reading level. Let's drop it down to maybe, a 5th grade reading level. And I can even change the language if I wanted. But if I do that, now it's going to rewrite the article in a Google document. So it's creating a Google document. And in that document, it's going to take a little while, but it's going to regenerate the article, in this case, at a 5th grade level. So here comes the article. It's generating it. And when that's all done, I can share that out with my students however I want. Let's go further. Let's say I want to give feedback to a student on something that they have written. So let's say I have a report from my student. So here is my student here. They wrote this. I must have it open in another screen. There it goes. Okay. So here is this report on how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Lots of mistakes, spelling errors, things like that. Let's say I want to give feedback. I can click Brisk and say, you know what, let's give feedback on this. I can do targeted feedback, glow and grow, next steps. I can upload a rubric and have it apply a rubric. Let's keep it simple. Let's do glow and grow. And so I can say, okay, let's do this. Let's say, I don't know, maybe it's 4th grade. I'm not sure what the grade level is. I think we'll say 6th. That's fine. Hit Brisk, give it a moment. And it is now reading through this and generating what's positive, where they got room to grow, and other things they could explore. I can insert this, boom, right into there. And now I've got my grading feedback. Or again, like I said, I can do this with rubrics. I can do it with lots of other ways as well. What else can it do? It's crazy. It can also, how about this? It can check to see, whoops, my little warning is telling me I've got about 8 minutes. Or no, yeah, about 8 minutes. Okay, that was my little warning to let me know my time is running low here. So that was my little quick warning. How about this? I can go to Brisk and I can click on it and I can use the inspect writing button. What if I'm suspicious of this work my student turned in? Like, you know what? Some of it doesn't sound like the way they normally write. Well, what I can do is I can go to Brisk, click on inspect writing, and what it does is it plays back a video of the document being written. Now, let me slow it down. It's going a little too fast for us probably to keep up with it there. So let me slow it down and play it again. So I can see as the student writes it, but look at this icon here. That means there was a paste that was done. So the student is typing. So it's got access to all of version history, which is basically Google's tracking of the document getting created. This is nothing special. Brisk is just tapping into what Google already records. It's just showing it in a neat way. Now, here's that little paste. So we're typing. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was a giant paste that occurred. And now the student starts typing again. So I can use Brisk to be able to see the history of a document being written. So I can see, did they really type it, or was it something that maybe they copied and pasted? So that's amazing. And there's more. There's even more. Another amazing thing it can do is it can create student activities. So I can come here to Brisk and I can click and I can say, I want to do a boost student activity based on this article. And so I can click on this, and basically this is what School AI does. Remember School AI, where we make a custom chatbot? That's what this is. I can make custom chatbots to tutor students on the topic, to have them chat with a character, to have them debate, have them brainstorm, do a exit ticket. So I could say, you know what? I want to do a character chat. Now, what would that be in this case? That seems a little odd. It's an article about butterflies. But I can say, no. Let's do a sixth grade character chat based on this article. And what it's going to do is come up with key objectives. And then the role that the AI is going to be playing, it's going to be a butterfly. The AI is going to pretend it's a butterfly, and we're going to interview a butterfly to learn about these things. I can preview this real quick to show you what the student would see. So over here, hello there. I just emerged from my chrysalis and I'm feeling quite magnificent. And now I can have a conversation with the butterfly. Or I could go to something like, remember that form we created earlier? Here's the quiz. I could say, you know what? I want to create a student boost activity to tutor them in preparation for the quiz. I could take the quiz, hit the boost button, and say, let's boost it by making a tutor based on the quiz. And so now it's going to create a tutor. And when I go to preview this, what you can do is you can hide the original content, like the quiz. So I don't want the students to see the quiz yet, so I'll turn off the source. Instead, I now have a tutor that knows everything that's on the quiz, and the students can now talk to it. Hey, I'm excited to help you learn about metamorphosis. What do you know about this and that? And now this is going to tutor them in preparation. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. Okay, so that's Brisk. Love it, love it, love it. So the last couple of things, we're down to like about 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Let me do this. Let me at least mention image tools and media tools. So I will finish with these. And then if we have any time left, I'll take final questions. So image tools, everything we've been looking at mostly has been text. We've been mostly dealing with text this whole time. Turns out, folks, there are a bunch of tools that will do images for you. Things like DALL-E, Gemini, Ideogram, Bing Image Creator, Canva Magic Studio, Adobe Firefly, Padlet. There are so many of these. And they're fantastic. Like the Ideogram tool. I love Ideogram. It's really good, especially for putting text inside of images. Some of them don't do a really good job of that. Ideogram does a great job. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a prompt and I'll let it run. And it will take it a little while, so we'll come back around to it. But the prompt I'm dropping in here is simply this: make a photo of a friendly smiling robot with large glowing digital eyes, dressed up like a repairman, holding a toolbox full of tools, and that has a sign in the background that says Best AI Tools. And so that is the prompt that I put in there for it. And it's going to be generating 4 versions of that for me down here. Actually, it looks like it's about done. There we go. And so here we have the AI toolbox. So we've got Best AI Tools, Best AI Tools, Best AI Tools, and Best AI Tools. So what a great tool. So I love the image generation tools. Then we've got media. Oh, I shouldn't skip over this one. Meta from Facebook. They have a really cool one. I'll show it here in just a second. There it is. What you can do is you can take a picture of yourself and then tell Meta, imagine me as something. So there's me as a superhero, a Viking, an artist. Let's see what else. Somebody with a lot of tattoos, an airline pilot, a surfer. You get the idea. So that's pretty awesome as well. Okay. The last category are the media tools. These are things that are going to create like audio and video. And there's so many amazing ones here. But I definitely want to give a shout out to some of the music ones like Udio. Suno's another really good one. Udio can write an entire song. It will write and perform a song for you. So if I go down to the section on media, if you scroll on down to the final page, next to Udio, right below it, you'll see a blog post I did where I tried this out. And so basically what I did was, you can check this whole thing out. I had ChatGPT write the lyrics because I think it does a little better job with the lyrics. And I said, I want lyrics for a song about the water cycle. And that would be fun to help students understand it. So ChatGPT wrote some lyrics. Then I went over to Udio and I put those lyrics in and I said, I want a song about the water cycle. And then you pick the style: rock, pop, rap, country, whatever. And it writes the entire song. It creates the whole song there for you. So let me go ahead and I'll just play a little clip of it. We're just not going to have enough time to do much here, but let me go ahead and give you just a teeny little clip here. And I'm going to I'll have to switch the audio over to this, but let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and do that. Give me just a second here, and I'm going to switch the audio over. GPT for the lyrics and Udio for the music and singing. You can get all the directions and resource links in my blog post linked down below in the description. All right, so we'll stop that. And it goes on and on and on. What an amazing ability to create educational songs for your students, or songs for student of the week, or to honor a staff member. Amazing stuff. Now, there's lots more tools, but I think I've hit my limit on time here. So what I'm going to do as I start to wrap up here, I will take a quick look to see if there's any last questions that we can address. But I, first of all, just want to say thank you so much for letting me be a part of your learning. It has been such a pleasure getting to learn with you. I want to remind you that everything I shared is at bit.ly/Curts-AI tools, complete with training videos, demos, blog posts, all of that, and a lot of tools we didn't get to. But last comment, please don't feel overwhelmed. I know I threw a lot at you there. You don't have to do all these things. Just pick something, pick a tool, pick one to try, see how it works for you, and share it with others, and then try another one. But please don't have this. I don't want you to walk away feeling overwhelmed. I want you to feel like you have a bunch of ideas, but keep it simple. Try something in the next coming weeks. All right. Well, let me turn it back over to my hosts here and see, are there any questions, comments I need to address? I know you guys have some housekeeping you need to do.
Excuse me, this has been wonderful. Do we have any emails to maintain contact with you?
So don't forget, at the very top of this document, if you get to that document, very top of the document is all of my contact information. That's the very first thing at the top. There's my email, there's my blog, social, YouTube, newsletter, Facebook group. Everything there is at the top of that document there. Absolutely. You got it.
Great question. Eric, you are always such a deep well of knowledge. I'm never shocked at just how much you actually know. I don't know how you keep up with all of it. AI.
It's hard.
Yeah, it moves so fast. So sessions like this are just so useful for educators to bring these fabulous tools in. You know, AI is becoming the assistant we always knew that all teachers needed. So I just love that you, like, Eric, are you tired? I'm tired from how quickly you went. That was amazing.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was so great. So thank you so much. In the chat, I saw a lot of comments around platforms that people are familiar with. So it's great that some of you are already dabbling in here. And I hope that I'm sure Eric highlighted something you didn't know yet. So that's really, really exciting.
And probably some things I don't know. Please send me an email. You said it's hard to stay on top of these things. Me too. I usually like to start, but I didn't today. I should have. I like to start by saying, I'm not here today to present to you. I'm here today to learn with you, because I want to walk away with new ideas. I want to pick up new things as well. So please, when you get some time, drop me an email and say, well, you didn't mention this tool. Here's a really neat one you should explore. I want to learn from you guys as well. That's the only way we're all going to be able to figure this out, is by learning together. So please let me know your suggestions as well.
Thank you so much for all of your knowledge.